Welcome to Relentless Pursuit with Marjorie Dudley. Real conversations with entrepreneurs, business owners, and leaders who refuse to settle. This isn't about overnight success. It's about the decisions, discipline, setbacks, and standards that shape extraordinary results. If you're building something that matters, you're in the right place.
Hello and welcome to Relentless Pursuit with Marjorie Dudley. Today I'm so excited to have our guest Matt Tinney. He is the Chief of Strategic Partnerships at Windows Management Experts, where he focuses on building strategic alliances across Microsoft, Amazon, and Google to help partners scale, modernize, and grow through pre-sales trusted resource model. Matt, thank you so much for joining today. I'm so glad to have you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm just so curious because you and I got to talking about business and startups, and I'm just curious, what is your entrepreneurial journey?
That is a great question. Well, it started in 2008. I was in Seattle, and I had just completed a contract with a software as a service company, and I kind of just got really burned out traveling, to be honest with you. Like,
Yes.
it's like traveling every week and being on someone else's clock. It just kind of takes a toll on you. After 20 years of doing that, it kind of felt like 100 years traveling. Kind of like time travel, right? It's like,
Right?
it's like,
Except the opposite direction. Instead of it, you jumping ahead, you're like, I'm still here.
exactly. 3 hours here, 6 hours. Like, I was traveling globally, so it wasn't just within the States. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to take my expertise, which is Microsoft Endpoint Management, and I'm going to start my own consultancy company, and that's Windows Management Experts. So it's really just taking what I already knew and what I was doing for other people and wrapping it into a solution-based organization for helping companies.
I love that. So it sounds like you came into entrepreneurialism getting sick of the grind of working for others. And I always say, people who love working at their companies, I love that. I coach a lot of leaders who wouldn't be able to lead people if there weren't people who working at their companies. But I also interview a lot of entrepreneurs who just finally say, hey, this isn't for me. I need something a little bit different. So it sounds a little bit like you fell into it. Were there any ahas in the process? Were there any things that you look back on when you started your consultancy that you go, man, I learned that lesson the hard way?
Yeah. That's a loaded question. I would say hire the best, even if they're perceivably outside of your comfort zone from a price or from a whatever perspective, right? When you anchor the right people in the right seats, you're able to grow more sustainably. And that, for me, is probably the most important thing. If you go with someone that's maybe a lower price point, and not as maybe strong technically, I just think that eventually does show in the customer experience. So, being able to spot talent too is another thing. Like, a lot of it is networking with people like, and trust, and like, you have to be in the circles where these people hang out. So that means you have to go into conferences. You have to keep your pulse on things. Even me today, like I went to 2 conferences, and I haven't been to a conference in like 10 years. And I went because I wanted to know what was going on, and ironically, a lot of the same people were still there.
Okay.
And I got to connect with them, but also build those relationships. So I think it comes down to just building relationships with people, and then if there's an opportunity for them to work with you, whether it's as a contractor or full-time, that comes from those relationships, meeting people at events and conferences, and
Absolutely.
staying immersed in the tech, in the areas that your craft is in. That's extremely important.
Networking has been a theme through several conversations that I've had, and obviously you and I met networking, so
Yeah.
proof is in the pudding. How do you network proactively? How do you network without just becoming a professional visitor? Because that's the other thing that people have talked about. I think sometimes when people stop liking networking, it's because relationships aren't moving forward. So how do you network intentionally? That's the question.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really about listening. Um, listening with intent and also listening for opportunity to collaborate. Okay? And sometimes that is, maybe more in you have an opportunity you need help with. I have an opportunity you need help with. But being able to listen for those opportunities, I think, is extremely it's critical, but it's also missing now with all of the technology that's at our disposal. I feel like people have gotten away from listening and using more of the AI tools, and you still have to have the oversight with the AI, and you still have to strategically plan. You can leverage AI, but you're not going to get away from using it to replace the relationship side. That's where I'm at with it. Oh, I just lost your speaker. Uh-oh. I just completely lost
Hello? Hello?
speaker. I have no idea
Can
what
you hear me
happened.
now?
That is so weird.
Hello?
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I can hear you now. I just
Hello?
couldn't hear
Hello?
you.
Hello?
Yeah.
Now I'm getting the echo.
You are?
Mm-hmm.
That is so weird. I have no idea what happened.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Okay, I think we're good there without an echo.
I used another microphone, but I have no idea why I couldn't hear you. I'm so
Are
sorry.
we
I
good
don't.
now?
Yeah.
Okay, I can edit that chunk out. I don't usually edit the long form, but for like weird, interruptions or whatever, it's not hard at all. So, um, let's just get back to what you were talking about hire the right people and then get to know people and listen for opportunities. Okay, so Matt, I love those two lessons. I've often had conversations with clients where we talk about, if you find the unicorn, hire the person and find a spot for them, because it is really all about having the right people helping you build your organization. And then I love
Yeah.
your insights around the fact that even as we grow in technology, and obviously you play in the technology space, we're still going to need that human connection and people and oversight and connectivity and relationships are still going to be paramount. What do you find has been the thing that you've had to be most resilient about when it comes to building your business? Was it always sunshine and roses and linear and easy, or have there been challenges you've had to overcome along the way?
Yeah. Well, definitely challenges. And where there comes challenges, there's opportunities. Okay? So, it's really about perspective, right? At the end of the
Hmm.
day, it's not what happens to you, it's what you do in response to that. And I say response and not react. And listen, it's taken a long time to even say that. Taking a step back when things happen is extremely critical. Extremely. Instead of reacting to everything that's moving, because when you get into those cycles, nothing good is going to happen. So taking a step
Right.
back and being able to just meditate or whatever your thing is to debrief. Whether it's talking to a mentor, listening to a podcast, or just going into a park and putting your feet in the dirt. I don't know. It just depends on what calls you as a person. But that is extremely, like, I would say the most important thing is, like, having that perspective shift away from whatever it is that you're dealing with. Because there's going to be issues. There's always going to be challenges in a business. You're dealing with people.
Right.
People have histories. They have things that there's everyone's challenged with. So we all have personal lives too. We have.
What's a time you've had to reframe, or maybe in hindsight you didn't reframe and you didn't respond as you wished you'd had? What have been some of the things where you've learned those lessons?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's about not understanding the whole history of something and then reacting to what you think is the current situation. So be careful about overreacting too quickly, because you don't know both sides of this. You don't know both sides. You don't know that person's perspective. You don't know where they're coming from. Yeah. And you don't need to listen. You need boundaries, okay? This isn't about being a doormat, okay? Because that was me before, being a doormat, like people pleasing, like everything was a yes.
Well, talk about that. Talk about a time that you maybe did people please, maybe in business or something, and then you had to regroup and actually build onto that and become a different version of yourself that no longer.
Yeah. Well, I think, a lot of it is opportunity driven. So about 5 years ago, it was longer than that, but 5 years ago I said we're not doing managed services. Okay. We had a great run, and then it wasn't our business model, right? We are project and staffing and licensing. Those are the three legs of the stool. And so we had a change in the leadership on that team, and it became apparent that this was just not going to be something I wanted to continue with. Now, everyone and their brother is doing managed services. Everything is about MRR. It's all about this and that, and all this reoccurring for exit and all that. But at the end of the day, that was not what I was passionate about, and it shows up. So that was a big area, being able to say, we did it, and now we're not going to do it, and we're going to turn our focus on what we're good at. And being able to have referral partners and collaboration and networking partners that you can listen for those opportunities still, because we still get asked. That's the thing. Like once it's out there as an artifact on the web, people see managed services, they still contact us. So being able to have those collaboration partners to refer that business to and have it be done just as well as we were doing it before is extremely critical. So it's like...
You bring up a good point about, you said something like we weren't passionate about it. What role do you feel like passion plays in someone's offerings?
Yeah. Passion, articulation, always learning, those are all related. I would say it's really like, I don't know how to answer that really clearly, because it's kind of
what are some things right now that you feel like you've had to learn or even relearn with the rate at which things are changing?
Well, for example, I said earlier, I went to 2 conferences. One was a technical conference, the Microsoft 365 community conference. I hadn't been to one in 10 years. And I went because I want to know what's actually going on and not what the marketing says, because you get two sides, right? And I really got myself educated on the architecture for Copilot AI, what's the opportunity for partners, and understand the pain points for the partners that we work with and how they're going to execute on that vision. So that's where we come in, right? And so understanding the technology landscape, like this stuff has been around for 9-10 years within the Microsoft space. Like Power Virtual Agents have been around as part of SharePoint. SharePoint is a collaboration tool. Copilot AI uses SharePoint as the main data structure. So that to me was extremely invaluable, because like I wasn't able to get that clear vision before. Now that I have that clear vision, now there's an opportunity to then go to our clients with, that same clarity and be able to offer them help in an offering. So it's really, even though I'm not technically hands-on since 2016, you still have to be you're still a technical company. And it was very eye-opening how quickly I grasp it, because I'm technical. And at the end of the day, what I really got was collaboration. This is a collaboration era we're in. Copilot and AI is a collaboration tool. That's what it is. It's not anything else, and I think when you're able to come to your own conclusions based on education, that's clarity. That's where it's at.
So you said you started your business how long ago again?
2008 in February.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so 18 years ago and change. What would Matt today tell Matt of 2008? What advice would you be giving younger Matt when you're going out and starting this thing from scratch?
Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Have multiple and different industry clients.
Okay.
I see too much companies that have had rapid success in the beginning kind of flounder in later years because they don't quite grasp the concept of partnerships, but also the right partnerships to drive industry segmentation. Extremely important. Because as we found during COVID, that was unprecedented. It was unexpected. And, those types of cycles do happen in business. Unexpected things happen in industries that take out an industry, or they create an opportunity in an industry. Like all the stuff that's going on with, the CMMC with defense. Like there's a lot of different opportunities in there.
But I don't even know what that is. So
yeah,
what's that?
It's a certification for defense contractors, pretty much.
Okay.
If you're working in and around the defense space, the suppliers have to get CMMC, which is a very expensive endeavor, or it can be an expensive endeavor if you don't engage the right vendor, or you don't have the right approach, right? So I'm just using that as an example, to answer your question.
So, big themes of yours have definitely been around collaboration and continuous learning. How have you also talked about client diversification. How have you intentionally ensured that you have client diversification?
Well, first off, having a clean CRM. Everything goes
Okay, that's smart.
CRM. Like every conversation, we use, AI agents. All that data goes into the CRM to provide insights for preparing for a sales call or account planning. So it's really about marrying AI Copilot and the dynamic CRM together to create a robust story, and being able to educate yourself before a client call or an opportunity call, and understand all the call notes, and like just understand what's the actual opportunity, not just what's been discussed, but the future of the opportunity. And also, like, putting your best foot forward, even if it doesn't look like it's going to be a whale. Because I have to tell you, the biggest whales come from doing your best work at the front, even if you think it's a small, little project. This is extremely important. I feel like a lot of people get enamored with, oh, I got to go after this big account, I got to do all this. No, start small. Focus on what you're good at, but do it well, and do it exceptionally well at the beginning.
Love that. I love that. Yeah. So put your best foot forward at the beginning.
Yeah.
And really what I also hear you saying is don't write certain prospects off, because you never know. Sometimes we prejudge, and or sometimes we get blinders on, and to your point, we only going to go after one segment of client or one level of client, and that can be death to a startup who needs cash flow and needs to grow. Obviously stay in your wheelhouse, because another trap people can fall into is maybe trying to do too much, be everything to everyone. But I love that about putting your best foot forward. What are some of the other lessons you learned along this 18-year journey? What are some of the things you also just took away working in large corporate America that helped you grow this thing in a way that you maybe couldn't have if you didn't have that experience?
Yeah. Well, I would say AI has definitely helped in the documentation of every communication. Because if you don't document what was said, it's like as if it doesn't exist, unfortunately. So with AI though, and using like some of these technologies, you can easily do that, right? So documentation is, I would say, extremely important. Next steps, everyone understanding what their role is in a team. Even if like a big company, it all comes down to the people and the teams. Right. And so having clear responsibilities and roles and expectations set with everyone on the team, so that everyone's working as one well-oiled machine. Extremely important and extremely difficult, especially if you're working remote. Alignment, basically. Alignment, if one thing I would say of all this, it's all about alignment. You bring on one person, you have your 10th person. If you're not aligned on the first person, you're not going to be aligned on the 10th person.
That's really true. That's really true. How have you worked to ensure alignment in your organization?
Well, first off, having working sessions where the work actually gets done on a call. Not talk at the work, not talk at issues, but actually work through the issue. This
and what is that?
So
yeah, talk about that.
Someone pulls up their screen and shares the document that they're having an issue with. Doesn't talk about it, but we actually get work done. Because I feel like a lot of these things become, I'll get to it, we'll do it after the call. No, let's do it right now. Like we have like pre-sales and delivery calls twice a week. We actually get things done. We don't talk at it, we talk in it. That's extremely important, and
I love that concept.
Yeah, it requires having the right people in the right seats too, because we brought someone in back to our company, and that person, that's their model of operandum, and it was extremely missing, and so now we do that on all of our calls now. Not just those 2 calls. Like we do it on our leadership calls, we do it on our financial calls. Like it is so.
We've done it on sales situations. We've done. I mean, it's a little bit different, but where if we're going to make sales calls, we'll be on a Zoom together and making sales calls together. And obviously it's a little different because we're not quite collaborating in the way that I'm imagining that you are. But the idea that we're doing something together also leads to that communication, trust, culture, all those things that, Peter Drucker said culture eats strategy for breakfast. And and that's your alignment piece that you're talking about. If you don't get the first person right, you're not going to have the 10th person right. So it's really important that organizations are proactively building culture and intentionally looking at what is the culture that we have? What is the culture that our people say we have? Because if what we think we have and what they say we have aren't the same, then there's something missing. So I love that alignment.
Yeah, I mean, it literally just, I mean, it's kind of just, I wouldn't say just happened, but it's evolved into that recently, like over the last 6 months. I mean, it didn't just happen. It's been over time. With a lot of errors and trials and tribulations and,
Would you have started it sooner, though? Do you wish you had started things like that sooner?
Yeah, but it comes down to, again, having the right people in the right seats. Once you put the right person in the right seats, these are the activities that start showing up. So, instead of settling with the people that you've got, is it the person that's going to produce the best output? These are difficult. It's difficult conversations, right? Especially when there are people that you've worked with for 10 plus years that they're just not in the same seat. It's not easy at all. These are friends. Some of these are family. Like it gets dicey, and you gotta work through all that, and that doesn't happen overnight.
So how have you learned to have crucial conversations then? Because that sounds like a big part of ensuring that you're getting the right people, or if you don't have them, maybe trying to help them get there. And if they can't get there, we call it lovingly helping them find success elsewhere. But how have you evolved in having crucial conversations over the years?
Well, it happens more than you think. You probably know, but you can train, you can bring in people to train them, you could give them the opportunity, and you can do so at their pace. But then you get to a point where the business needs more of that person in that role. This is happening a lot with AI. AI is defining each person's role in my company. And so if you're not using AI and you're not adapting to it, you're probably not going to have a job in 3 months. Period. I've said it. And people and it's not a threat, it's more about reality. Because things are changing so fast, and we have to change. We have to move at that pace as a technology company. And this has actually happened recently, and unfortunately, we had to make some adjustments. We had to adjust our strategy. And these have been people that have been with us for 4 or 5 years, but they didn't adjust to the AI strategy. And we gave them an opportunity, and we trained them, and they still didn't take it, and they didn't learn it. They resisted it. And so those are the things that, businesses today, they'll quickly realize when the ship is sinking and why it's sinking.
What you're talking a lot about right now is how all of us, leaders, owners, entrepreneurs, employees, team members, all of us need to reach deep into being adaptive.
Yeah.
If we can't adapt to a variety of situations, a variety of clientele, a variety of team members, then it's going to be really hard to survive, because there's not a monolith. There's a rapid pace situation. ahead of us. There is an iceberg of AI information, and I don't mean it's going to make us sink, but if you're not ready to lean in on various things, whether it's AI or other things, it's going to be really, really problematic. Remind me again how many people you lead?
So we have a small team of about 20, and then we have about 150 trusted resources that are out on billing. So
it's a pretty good sized team.
And we're also global. So that's another interesting dynamic, is that we have multiple teams, right, in different countries. And sometimes the communication, well, with one of the locations, extremely challenging with communication. And so recently we realized that it just wasn't working to have a team split across locations. So we had to bring it to one location because of the communication, you know? And I'm not talking about I'm talking about the language communication, like the little nuances that get missed.
Like I'm assuming offshore, like actual.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like offshore.
Well,
right.
And that is why people who offshore different services, they are looking at offshoring places where, you know, the language barriers may be a little less. Where the time zone changes maybe a little less, because obviously a lot of people are offshoring, and there's a great case to be made. I've even had a VA in the Philippines help me with certain things before. So I recognize that it makes sense to do, but it can also bring challenges.
Yeah.
Depending on your business situation. So how many of your people are in the States and how many are elsewhere?
Yeah. So everything we do pretty much for delivery is stateside, because we are SOC 2 Type 2, audited and attested by a third party, which just means that
another fancy certification, right?
Yeah, but it's actually a very important one that I think the industry it's kind of like the CMMC, right? It's that base level compliance that says your data of your clients is safe and secure, and you have the policies and procedures and the controls in place. And it's very expensive. And the reason we got it is because we're working with mid-market plus clients. We do work with small businesses, but just being able to say, and that's another thing of integrity, right? And I'm not saying every company needs to get it, but there should be a strategy around getting it. I see too often a lot of smaller companies that are managed services companies that are supporting clients, they become a risk to the client without them even knowing it, the end client. And that's kind of where, that's another reason that, you know, we do help a lot of MSPs with project work and staffing. Because
so what should a client ask to make sure that they're not working with a vendor or partner that's putting them at risk in this way?
Well, I mean, that's a whole loaded question.
Okay.
There's actually we do a lot of blogs. There's a lot of blogs that we have on this, but I would say, are you in the process, or do you have a SOC 2? Do you have any type of compliance regulation from a third party? Because a lot of times, you know, what happens is that they find out after the fact, and I hate seeing that, because we often get pulled in after they got breached or after an issue happens, and then we have to kind of help either the client or the MSP with those situations.
It sounds like one of those cases, prevention is worth more than a cure.
Exactly. It is.
Spend a little bit of effort on the front end, making sure that if you're partnered with an outside vendor in any of the IT tech data space, that they are being certified in that safety and data protection.
Right, because at the end of the day, the client is inevitably going to have to keep it running if something happened to the MSP. So giving control, but still having a pulse on, like the owner or someone in the company should still have access and still should be a two-tiered approval on big changes. Like it shouldn't be the MSP is offloading all the tech, and then the owner and the company has no understanding. Like there should be a two-tiered approval process.
Like in the old days, two people signing the check, or nowadays there's two-factor authentication. You're saying two people, the outside provider, but also someone inside, so that we can make sure. I mean, this is a big deal, and this is things that people need to think about. What is the biggest issue you've seen that you know could have been preventable? What is one of just the most ghastly scenarios that not to scare people, but
not having a Glassdoor admin account.
Okay.
Which means that they don't have the proper delegation of security set up. And then we don't I don't want to get into the technical details of this, but we have blog around this. There was I can't remember the name of the breach, but there was a breach around someone had gotten into the Intune, which is a mobile device management solution from Microsoft. They got into the Intune admin account, and they were able to delete all the personal data off of devices that were enrolled.
Wow.
So you own a device, right? And it was enrolled in your company. The data got wiped out on the device.
Wow.
So like those scenarios, that's like a big one. I think it was called the Striker breach, I think. Yeah, we did a blog post on it. This was a while back. But the Striker breach was this type of thing where the company gave full admin rights to the MSP or whatever, and it was some type of flavor where the checks and balances were off, and someone got into the admin account and configured some policy or something and deleted the data. So I just definitely have checks and balances. Just because you're outsourcing IT does not mean you should not have some type of fractional outside CIO or CISO involved with your company's data and security and strategy, to be honest with you. Do you want to have your strategy outsourced? You can't really outsource your strategy. So you still have to have someone sitting on your executive leadership team that holds that MSP accountable. Because I find that that's been the biggest, I see the biggest issues when those things don't take place.
Fascinating. Well, what's one last piece of advice you'd give to newer entrepreneurs or even people who are in other industries that is just a lesson you've learned along the way that you think, gosh, if more people knew this, we'd be better off?
You know, everyone has these grand visions of starting a company.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on what you're good at and do the actual work to bring in revenue. I know it sounds a little, but like that means, maybe subcontracting to a bigger company and bringing in revenue for your company in the beginning stages, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That is probably the biggest thing that I see nowadays. Like yes, we need to have direct clients and you need this grand vision, but start somewhere and focus on what you're good at, what you already know. You don't have to go out and train on another skill. Just focus on what you're good at and offer it as a service or subcontract it to a bigger company that has the clients already. That's how I got started. And I've had other people that have done that and they've come back and they're quadruple the size our company is. They remember.
So focus on
what you're good at and bring in revenue for your company.
That's phenomenal. And Matt, where can people find you if they want to talk to you direct or want to learn more about Windows management experts? What's the best place to catch you?
I'm on LinkedIn. I have.
I'll post that.
Too. Yeah.
I'll post your LinkedIn and your website in the notes. Thank you so much, Matt. This was so insightful, and I really appreciate you.
Thank you. No, this is great. I appreciate you too.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode of Relentless Pursuit. And if you're looking to build more discipline, resilience, and results in your own work, that's exactly what Marjorie helps leaders and entrepreneurs do through coaching, speaking, and training. If today's conversation got you thinking differently about how you want to show up, you'll find links to connect with Marjorie in the show notes. Until next time, stay relentless.